Hey there hikers, Adam here. When the idea of winter hiking is mentioned, I know that many people start picturing people climbing Mount Everest. But I'm here to tell you that that absolutely does not need to be the case if you pick the right hike. And so these are 15 fun and easy winter hiking options in New Hampshire that are perfect for beginners.
Before we get started, we need to cover some basic info on winter gear and hiking conditions. But remember, my focus here is on the absolute basics and general overview for beginners. I'm going to be skipping many of the nuances and details relevant for hiking the high peaks or in extreme weather conditions, which beginners should be totally avoiding anyways. For your absolutely beginner winter hiking gear, you need two basic things: clothes layering and micro spikes. Now, your standard winter clothes or skiing clothes should be adequate for these very beginner hikes, and the exact clothes or brands does not really matter in general. The ultimate goal is to have warm clothing layers that you can put on or take off as needed throughout the hike. This is to avoid either becoming too cold or also too hot. If you're too hot on the hike, this could cause you to sweat, which then makes things wet and possibly much colder than if we stay dry during the entire hike. A simple example is that you're more likely to get warm and hot while you're hiking uphill than when you're just standing on a summit looking at a view. Next, you'll need basic micro spikes to add to your boots. This is to give us extra traction on the ice and hard snow to prevent slips and falls. The basic ones off Amazon should be more than enough for these beginner trails. Next, there are the three basic trail conditions to consider. First, we have fresh fallen snow, which I would not recommend. Let's wait a day for other people to come pack down the trail. Next, we have old snow, which is kind of ideal for beginners. The trail is usually already broken in and easy to follow, and it's also typically well packed down and stable to walk on, though it is possible to sink deeper into the snow if you step off the main packed down trail. Lastly, we have general iciness, which could be a bit tricky yet is still largely doable. Luckily, ice is usually only found in isolated patches and specific sections of the trail. You may need to hike a bit slower until you clear these annoying sections, but it is nothing that our micro spikes can't handle. It goes without saying that weather also plays an enormous factor for winter hiking. Beginners should be waiting for sunny or fair cloudy days without storms or any extremes in terms of either the wind or freezing temperatures. Trust me, it's not fun at all to hike in those conditions anyway, so you should be avoiding them as best you can. Now let's get to those trail recommendations from easiest to hardest. We're starting off on the easiest hike with the Lincoln Woods Trail, which is located near the town of Lincoln. And the trail you'll follow if you hike the full distance is around 7 miles long out and back. Alright, calm down, calm down. You by no means need to hike all 7 miles to enjoy this trail. One of the main highlights is actually the footbridge that crosses the Pemigewasset River, and that's literally right next to the parking lot. Tons of people just check that bridge out and then turn right around. But if you do venture further down this super simple, flat, wide, and straight trail, you can easily get a taste of some deeper winter wilderness for minimal effort. Many day hikers choose to turn around at the second footbridge on this trail for a completely solid winter hike. But additionally, at that point, you do have the option to hike down a short side trail to see a frozen Franconia Falls. But like I said, feel free to turn around at any point once you've had your fill of this well packed down and popular winter trail. Next, we have Diana's Baths, which is located near the town of North Conway, and the trail you'll follow is around 1.4 miles long out and back. Here we have an absolute classic that is still magical to see in the winter. Because of the immense popularity of this hike that continues into the winter months, the trail should be extremely packed down and easy to walk on. The trickiest part will not be getting too close to the river's edge. I can't have any of my viewers falling in, but you will be so tempted with so many amazing frozen waterfalls to gawk at. What's fun in the winter is that the variety of falls and plunges here at Diana's Baths should result in several different and unique frozen waterfall patterns with no two looking that similar. I personally think that the best time to hike Diana's Baths is a few days after a big freeze starts, so that while a majority of the stream is frozen, there is still some water flowing to give that great contrast. A totally wet river or a totally frozen solid one is way less interesting. Next, we have the Flume, which is located near the town of Lincoln, and the winter trail you'll follow is around 1.8 miles long out and back. Make sure you bring your micro spikes for this hike. The close proximity to the water, while making very pretty and cool ice formations for us to look at, also makes for tons of slippery ice patches for us to walk on. And also understand that this hike is very different in the winter from the summer version. The main center section of the gorge is closed and you cannot walk through it, but the boardwalk is still available for a good section at the start of the gorge to see some huge icicles, and then you can hike on the upper gorge wall to the end of the flume to stroll in and see a frozen avalanche falls at the end of the gorge. Even this reduced access is quite stunning and fun, especially if you get a chance to see some ice climbers. The other further trails around the flume through the woods are open this time of year, but you don't really need to hike them if you want to spend all of your time with the huge gorge icicles and the quaint covered bridges. Next, we have Odeon Point State Park, which is located near the city of Portsmouth, and the trail you'll follow is a loop that is around 3 miles long. This was a very new hike for me that I hadn't heard of before, and I bet for many other people watching this video. I loved how absolutely unique and different the setting of this hike is compared to what we usually picture for winter hiking. Seeing a frozen beach and snow near the ocean was a real treat. Since the entire Odeon Point is flat and completely riddled with crisscrossing trails, feel free to explore this area to your own heart's content. But the trail that I did feature will bring you close to the Science Center, the pier, the waterfront, and various beaches at several different points. There are even crazy tunnels to marvel at as well. I think that the interesting frozen oceany vibe makes for one of the most memorable hikes on this list, and everyone should check it out at least once. Next, we have Artist's Bluff, which is located near the town of Franconia, and the trail you'll follow is around 0.6 miles long out and back. Of course, one of the most famous views in New Hampshire would make this list. While the fall pictures on the sledge have put this view on the map, the winter views are similarly as amazing. I would caution though that the trail is a bit steep and slightly tricky when it is covered in snow, but it is extremely short and that makes it a worthy inclusion on this list, especially since your reward for that short climb is so well worth that effort. On a clear day, you'll see even more of Franconia Notch, a frozen Echo Lake, and all the skiers shooting down Cannon Mountain. Next, we have Pitcher Mountain, which is located near the town of Stoddard. The summit is 2,162 feet tall, and the trail you'll follow is a loop that is around 0.7 miles long with only 300 feet of gain. We've made it to the very first named mountain on the list, but don't worry, the actual hike is super short and has barely any actual elevation gain. You're already almost at the top. This little climb brings you to a fire tower that will give you the best views. Once you climb all the way up the steps, you will see much of southern New Hampshire for miles around, with several other mountains visible to the north as well as some wind turbines. But I think the coolest view that you'll get is of Mount Monadnock looming large and tall over everything else directly towards the south. Not too shabby for less than a mile of hiking through the snow. Next, we have West Rattlesnake, which is located near the town of Holderness. The summit is 1,260 feet tall, and the trail you'll follow is around 2 miles long out and back. This is absolutely one of my favorite hikes and views in all of New Hampshire, but it's even more incredible in the winter. A short, modest hike up from the parking lot will bring you to the main viewpoint of Squam Lake. While the view is stunning at any time of year, to get the most out of this winter setting, I wouldn't complete this hike until after a good cold spell. That will give Squam Lake enough time to freeze over and look especially wintry and cold. Bonus points if there is fresh snow fallen on the ice to turn all of the water white. The contrast between the frozen lake and the winter trees on those distant mountains will make for a very memorable view. Next, we have the Blue Job Loop, which is located near the town of Farmington. On this hike, you'll summit both Blue Job Mountain at 1,357 feet tall, and Little Blue Job at 1,240 feet tall. And the trail you'll follow is a loop that is around 2 miles long. I was pleasantly surprised with how scenic and fun this hike was. You get not one but 2 great viewpoints for less than 2 miles of modest hiking. I'd recommend hiking this loop counterclockwise to save your best views for the end of your hike. The loop will start off getting most of our uphill hiking out of the way early as we hike the modest incline up to Blue Job Mountain's summit. On this summit, you'll find this hike's awesome fire tower. You will have to climb the stairs all the way up this tower to get the best views on the summit of southern New Hampshire and some glimpses northward. Next, a small connecting trail will bring you over to Little Blue Job, descending most of the way. Though this summit is shorter, it does have a more bald summit with many rocky ledges with almost non-stop views. I think they may even be better views than those from the fire tower on top of the taller summit. That is especially true for any of the mountains that you see north of both of these summits, and then when you turn around you even get nice clear views back towards Blue Job Mountain itself. Both summits are well worth your time and effort for these epic winter views. Next, we have Champney Falls, which is located on the Kankamagus Highway near the town of Albany, and the trail you'll follow is around 3.3 miles long out and back. This hike is all about the icicles, and it's not even the ones at Champney Falls that we care about, but actually Pitcher Falls right next door. The low flow rate of this falls and the large steep drop off the cliff make for some of the tallest and most impressive icicles. I think they may be the largest and tallest ones you can find in the whole state. When you are visiting though, be extra careful in the area all around the cliff so that you don't accidentally break through the snow into the stream flowing under your feet, or get too close to the cliff and icicles. Falling ice can be very dangerous, especially if there is active melting. Luckily, the icicles are so huge you should easily be able to admire them from a safe distance. Next, we have Lonesome Lake, which is located in Franconia Notch, and the trail you'll follow is around 3 miles long out and back. How would you like all of the spectacular winter 4,000-footer views without actually needing to risk your life hiking one in the winter? That's what I love about Lonesome Lake. You get stunning views across the frozen lake towards Cannon Mountain and also Franconia Ridge and the Kinsmans, all without needing to worry about or deal with the extreme winter conditions that you would find on those summits. Plus, the hiking trail is fairly moderate in slope as it switchbacks its way up to the lake, requiring much less effort than summiting the actual mountains nearby. Once you get up to Lonesome Lake, you can complete a scenic hike completely around it, but I would warn you about the far side of the lake after the main dock. This part of the trail goes through a swampy area on top of numerous bog bridges. This is not normally an issue in the summer, but could be problematic in the winter. This is because the snow makes it hard to see where the solid ground ends. Luckily, the best views are from the dock anyways, so feel free to turn around there if you want to avoid the risk of falling in. Next, we have Mount Willard, which is located near Crawford Notch. The summit is 2,850 feet tall and is part of the 52 with the View hiking list, and the trail you'll follow is around 3 miles long out and back. We have finally graduated to what I'd classify as our first actual mountain summit on the list, at least in terms of how it feels compared to the other summits I've recommended so far. It's not significantly tougher than any of the other hikes, but this hike should take you over an hour to get to the top, while most of the other summits have taken us much less time. But don't worry, this hike maintains a constant moderate slope that then rewards you with one of the best views in the White Mountains for your effort. The V of Crawford Notch will be clearly visible as you gaze southwards away from the summit. Next, we have Arethusa Falls, which is located near Crawford Notch, and the trail you'll follow is around 3.2 miles long out and back. Now, of course, the tallest waterfall in New Hampshire would make for an interesting winter hike. Something about seeing a frozen waterfall will always just captivate me and seem so magical. Now, for the hike up to this falls, the trail will be fairly moderate in its slope, with a very high likelihood of being well packed down by other hikers. When you reach the falls, you will probably see a staggering wall of ice that's over 150 feet tall, and maybe even some ice climbers. You are able to walk a bit closer to the front of the falls or scramble up a small ledge to the left. The left ledge will give you some closer views of the frozen waterfall from a cool different angle. I personally think that the best time to visit Arethusa Falls is when the waterfall is still in the process of freezing. That way you can still see some contrast of the ice wall and some moving water. Also, I hope you get lucky enough to see some of the cool badass ice climbers, because I thoroughly enjoyed watching them scramble all over that frozen waterfall for almost an hour before I was ready to hike home. Next, we have Mount Major, which is located near the town of Alton. The summit is 1,786 feet tall, and the trail you'll follow is around 2.7 miles long out and back. Another absolute classic summit with one of the best views you can get of Lake Winnipesaukee. That stunning view will make this trail still popular in the winter, giving you a well-hiked and packed down trail. But taking the most direct trail could be a bit steep and tricky in the snow. Luckily, the summit views will be well worth this extra effort, where you can clearly see the Ossipee Mountains and all of the islands in the lake across from you. Even though this is a short mountain, both times that I have completed this hike in the winter, the summit has been very windy and deathly cold, which totally sucked since I could not take in the view as long as I would have wanted to. But luckily, the ruins of the tower you find on this summit did a great job blocking some of that wind. I'm also quite sure that this hike and view would be even better after a true cold spell when Lake Winnipesaukee would be actually frozen over. Unfortunately, I have never been so lucky, but maybe you will. Next, we have Tuckerman Ravine, which is located near Gorham, New Hampshire. The bottom of the ravine is 3,856 feet tall, and the trail you'll follow is around 4.8 miles long out and back. I hear all of the beginners shaking behind their screens right now. Whoa, Adam, what are you talking about? This is Mount Washington. Why are you bringing me anywhere near there? Doesn't that mountain kill people in the summer? And yes, Mount Washington is a crazy, hard, and risky hike in the winter, but our only goal is the bottom of the Tuckerman Ravine Bowl, far from those hostile conditions near the summit that makes this mountain so deadly. And the reason that I think this can be a fun, though still tougher, beginner hike is because it will give you just enough of a glimpse and taste of those harsh winter conditions, but far from their effects. From the bottom of the bowl, the steep walls of the ravine are extraordinary and honestly make you feel like you're in a much more hostile winter landscape than just New Hampshire. The jagged rocky tops of the snow-covered Boot Spur and the imposing Lion's Head Cliff are remarkable. And don't forget the snowy bowl of the main Tuckerman Ravine wall, which was also simply stunning. But even better, the trail to get to this point is surprisingly tame and untechnical. I'll admit the slope of the incline is probably the steepest on the list thus far and is sustained consistently the whole way to the destination, but there are absolutely no technical elements or scrambles that are any harder than the trails that we've tackled already on this list. There are even some shockingly rare New England switchbacks to help you out. Additionally, this trail is exceptionally wide for hiking trails in the White Mountains, and the ravine's popularity for both hiking and skiing will almost guarantee you an extremely well packed down snow super highway. I consider this trail totally doable by most people in the winter with the proper determination. Honestly, this trail will easily help you decide if hiking in the winter is something that you love enough to ever actually train and tackle the snow-covered peaks all around you. Oh, and there is a surprisingly nice frozen waterfall near the beginning of this hike for you to find as a bonus. And my final and toughest recommendation is Mount Cardigan, which is located near the town of Orange. The summit is 3,149 feet tall, and it is part of the 52 with a View hiking list. And the trail you'll follow is a loop that is around 4.3 miles long. Okay, you survived Tuckerman Ravine. I know you'll be ready now for your first real winter mountain hike. What I mean here is that this mountain will finally give you the possible experience of hiking a taller and tougher winter hike in a more beginner capacity. First, the summit is at a higher elevation, offering possibly the coldest temperatures you've hiked through thus far. Then this trail will have the greatest amount of hiking above the tree line of any hike on this list, giving you a taste of that exposure to the wind and elements. So much so that it would be smart to consult the mountain summit forecast for Mount Cardigan summit before attempting this hike. But outside of those tastes, if you hike Mount Cardigan via the West Ridge Trail, the trail will remain modest in slope and difficulty for the actual hiking and not have any overly steep or technical sections. You will, however, need to deal with a short, tame, half-mile-long road walk to get to this trailhead, which is a glimpse of another annoying aspect of winter hiking in New Hampshire. But after all of this, when you finally make it to the summit, you get to see the summit's fire tower frozen solid like a popsicle, which I thought was so cool. And on a clear day, this summit will have 360-degree views in all directions, including all the way to the White Mountains.
But hey, that's just my opinion. Now go get hiking.